All right, so we got Dr. Wade Anunson here. He's coming back up for round two of Reclamation here in January 2026. It'll be the 17th at the Heyde Center. All are welcome, both practitioners and their teams, but also the public. So, Dr. Wade, you're going to be doing a public session, I think, and a CE session. And I think in both of them, you're doing some protein and some nutrition talk. Or tell me more about the message you're bringing. I might be misspeaking there.
Well, I think, by the way, thanks for having me. Number one, I'm excited to be there for round two because I think your group and the people are hanging out with you and following your work, and you're just supporting theirs. They're cool peeps, and I think it's awesome. By the way, and the fact that we get to talk about some fun things for me. I gave you a couple options, and there was a resounding response to like protein. Let's talk about protein. So there's a number of things that we want to address with a lot of the noise, and I think a lot is noise because there's so many different viewpoints about what nutrition is, and then how we can go from really general nutrition to then just microscopic micronutrients, and it gets really, really just crazy in depth and very confusing with very confusing messages about the outcomes, such
Okay.
as there's one argument about alkalinity and acidity, and that we are supposed to alkalize our bodies. And I would just challenge this by saying, I'm not saying I'm right. I just have questions that went deeper to the fact that who's in charge of our pH,
Mm-hmm.
our innate intelligences.
Mm-hmm.
By way of our behaviors, even there's acidic thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We have vibrational acidity that we can project to by predominant emotions that the body will respond to with the equal expression of that energy that we're asking it to carry for whatever amount of time during the day,
Yes.
whether it's 51% of the time and now it's the dominating thought, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a fleeting thing like you,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Lona, who has really good control. This is not me fluffing you. I'm just saying how you choose to live your life. You choose to focus on the things that are positive, that vibrate. You're not denying negativity. You just focus, you choosing by free will to focus on those things.
Try to. Yep.
Put you in the driver's seat. You're a great example of that. So that's an example of how we emotionally alkalize ourselves. We keep
Yes.
ourselves in basically neutral. So what
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
coming
I love
to
that you
is
started there though, Wade, because that description of it we don't hear often enough of like, yes, it's not just the acidity levels of what foods you're putting in your body. In fact, it might be a lot more other things to look at. Yeah.
right, right. So we could go really deep into the weeds, and you and
Mhm.
I today only have 30 minutes, and we're gonna chunk on some things. But here's one of the things I love and why I even offered for protein,
Mhm.
because protein is a driver of homeostasis, and we're not taught that. We were never taught that in chiropractic physiology, in chemistries, in our even in biology. We're not taught that protein as a macronutrient. There's only three:
Mhm.
carbs, proteins, and lipids. They're all essential in our bodies, and yet for different reasons, and they have different outcomes. And so, if we start to understand that a political agenda
Mhm.
for how we're supposed to eat, or a narrative that drives an agenda, isn't necessarily ideal for us as individuals. But again, that starts to get at, and the reason I mention this is collectively speaking, there's a message out there. And yet, intuitively and innately, we know that message isn't fully vibrating
Right.
true. So if we're going to talk about being an adult and having our own individual thought process, then I would ask you this: whose job is it to maintain your pH level, the volume of your blood, the constituents in the blood, which are those micronutrients like magnesium, iron, copper, your proteins, amino acids, clotting factors, yada yada yada,
Mhm.
and the temperature of our bodies internally in that blood, in that ECF. And I would say that is your innate intelligence
Mhm.
that's guiding and driving that. And our willingness and ability to support it and our knowledge, not ignorance, but knowledge. We are not supposed to be innate in my opinion. We're supposed to recognize it exists and simply honor it, which is that temple,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So I like nutrition because it's how I saw it when I was young. When I was 14, 15, and I was lifting weights, I was already looking at amino acids and how protein, and I wanted to build muscle and be healthy. I wanted to be a chiropractor at that age. I knew it. I just didn't know I could make it a reality. At that point, it was kind of a pipe dream, right? But I knew what I wanted to do. And so it's internal with me. But what the love affair with chiropractic is that chiropractic works in and of itself, period. 100%. This topic on top of it is why I like talking to chiropractors, because our deeper questions are how do we support the body's vertebral subluxation complex as an adaptative response? Like how do we help the individual with why their body subluxates? It's not stupidly subluxating, it's brilliantly
Right.
subluxating and or adapting. And
Or
there's
attempting to adapt. Yes.
yeah, there's just like and everything, all these perceptions, right? The light coming in, the temperature, the noise, the volume, the words someone says, the look they give us,
Hmm.
the past memories we have, the future worries were in front of us, the current episode that I'm not paying attention to right now and the light turns green and I'm sitting at the light looking at my phone and I'm behind them going, why don't you go?
Yes. Yes.
So, which creates a consequence as well.
Mhm.
So, the protein part is cool because there's a lot of misconceptions about the good, bad. And then, but I would strip it down and say, what if you knew it was a primary regulator of your ability to adapt to the world? And we can determine whether you're getting enough or not enough in this moment in time right now.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
love that.
on some level, like because of culturally how we've been taught to maybe eat or think that animal meat or something like that is what we shouldn't be having, um, that many times people are deficient in protein or malnourished, and then having other problems that have no idea are related to the fact that their body doesn't have the building blocks it needs to then thrive. So, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, 100%. So let's take a couple patients of mine that are in their late 20s and early 30s. One has had a successful pregnancy and child, could not hold a second pregnancy. The other one has never gotten pregnant, couldn't get pregnant, could not hold the gestational period to
Mm-hmm.
have birth and lost the child prematurely twice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just bring a third one into there, a woman who years ago was a patient here. They drove from an hour and a half away to come up here for a hip problem after 7 years of trying to have a baby using infertility, gave up because it never happened, starts coming in for hip pain.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, she gets pregnant within a year
Mm-hmm.
and proceeds to have at least three more kids. Last I saw or knew them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a student of the game going, that's fascinating. And we've heard this for years. Dr. Lona, you have helped many, I'm sure, get pregnant just doing the work you do brilliantly. And back then, I was certainly didn't know or study the nutrition like I have to this stage because of my personal health issues that I've dealt with. Anyway, um, that's kind of how I got to this point. But the fascinating thing is neurologically, it makes such a big deal. But she also had a number of other factors going for her that she didn't have. Um, the adjusting, obviously, we can contend that neurologically, her body was unable to carry out by way of neurogenic and maybe neurovascular and viscerally somatic support to grow a child.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, her hormones were off. She was dysfunctional to the point where she couldn't conceive, nor could she. And then all of a sudden, we didn't change anything. She stopped all her previous stuff. They literally gave up and said, "We're just destined that we're not going to have them." She starts chiropractic care, goes through 3 months of that, and all of a sudden she's getting pregnant. And I'm like, "Holy smokes, powerful, right?"
Yeah, that's
Now,
awesome.
would I stake the claim that I'm going to make that? Never. I just go, look, if your body's capable and we can get in a position to do that,
Right.
wow, isn't that cool? Let's just see. And they were, it's like, well, I'm helping you with your hip pain, but that's a structural issue. And
Mm-hmm.
that structural has integrity and we know it affects. So maybe, I mean, we know there's a bunch of things not working great.
Right. Yeah. Well, and back to your original when you said like we're never like something that's structural is never just structural, right? Like just like food is not just food. It's got all that went on to even grow the food and how you what state were you in when you consume the food? Like there's just so many layers to why our bodies, back to your point of like who do we give credit to? The innate intelligence is the thing that's running the show. We can do our best to, yes, try and understand it, but I think more importantly, honor it, knowing that there is this essence not just in us, it's in the natural world. And when we start to realize how we've deviated so much from what is natural, and our diets are proof of that, our lighting is proof of that, our expectations of how much stress we can handle and still keep up, like a lot of this is a natural. And so, I think it's always interesting when we hear these stories too, because it's like, was it the adjustment structurally? Well, yes, but it also might be that the woman surrendered to this next part of life. The pressures came down. The adjustments helped get the pelvis in the right position. That energy could flow. Who knows, right? Like, but it's amazing because the body can adapt. And the more that we adapt differently, we get different outcomes, right?
Right, right.
Mhm.
I think all the above, and it's a great way to say it is like structurally. So here's an example what I want to help docs with from a level that helps chiropractors be even better. Like this is not something if it doesn't interest you, you that you have to do, and I'm here to say you need to. Not at all. I'm here trying to help docs who can appreciate the deeper level of who's on the table. Like
Mhm.
what patient is on my table? What are they challenged with? What are they dealing with? Every single day that the easy thing to summarize is they're dealing with current environmental stresses, political, um, of many types of emotional stress, occupational, financial stress. We are definitely in an economic downturn. We see all the in inflation problems. We have people that still wear masks at times and they're dealing with fear, their chronic fear and things that go on there. Um, so who's on my table? Who is lying here? What
Mhm.
are their challenges? And based on age can be their hormonal
Mhm.
panel right now as they're transitioning in life. Well, we know that that hormonal panel is going to be more disruptive when there has not been enough protein to meet the needs of the body to adapt easily. And I would look at it that way, say, is the body adapting easily or is it a struggle to adapt?
Mhm.
And the adjustment happens to be on so many levels, including the doc that realizes there's a spirituality to it, not
Mhm.
a religion, a spirituality that the innate potential is a source derived energy that we have access to in the quantum field. And that quantum all is unlimited. And
Mhm.
it's hard for us to fathom when we're in a material world.
Right.
So
Agreed.
protein vibrates at a level to serve the body in a different way than a carbohydrate vibrates to serve the body with energy than
Mhm.
a lipid that vibrates in nature to provide the body with certain building blocks for other things like cellular membranes and fluidity.
Mhm.
In this case, hormones, neurotransmitters to grow a baby,
Mhm.
which is one of the things Weston Price found with fats and healthy fats in
Right.
uh,
Teeth.
all these other cultures.
Mhm. Yeah, fascinating. And when you're not like us, where you are immersed in thinking about, well, why is the body doing what it's doing all the time and interested, maybe you're in a different career where you geek out on other things, but we all have to think about our health at one point or the other. But it is easy to realize like, oh man, like this is a wildly complex, there's so many messages coming at people, especially depending on what your algorithm's showing you and what podcasts you listen to and what the TV shows and what the
Mm,
commercial shows. And then when you walk through the grocery store and you're trying to, what is natural meat versus organic versus grass-fed versus, like there's so many things that I think the average person would have to be excited to learn about it. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, I can't win here. Like, how do I even? So having somebody help cut through so much noise. And I think one of the most important things I learned along the way is just realizing so many people we're like starving, but we look well fed. By well fed, I mean overfed. But overfed
mhm.
what, right? Like because we're not getting those building blocks like you just pointed out, because we're getting a lot of synthetic, crappy, chemicalized, I don't even know if we can call it food, but we're being sold it in containers that look like it's natural or that somehow it's good for us, but it's far from that, right? So for the average
Right.
person to let that innate version of themselves that wants and can be healthy, sometimes there's a lot of onion layers to peel through to then almost like I'm going to say like unsledge up the system, because the system gets so sledged up by all these chemicals, these thoughts, these all these things that it's trying to adapt to. And I think that's part of what I know you do with people is help them focus on where they need to focus and start to put one foot in front of the other so that they can get some of these things in order, right?
Yeah. And I think that's probably, again, as much as I'd like to sit here and talk about some of the cool nuts and bolts behind it, the reality is this. It's super simple when you have a method of analysis that can start to go, look, if this person on the table is, first of all, chronically stressed by a relationship they're going through, a lawsuit, whatever it might be, whatever's going on, family issues, my knowing that is super helpful to understand what the demand versus supply is, because that's
Right.
really what it's about, demand supply. How's the body adapting? Demand supply. If it's got enough demand, or I'm sorry, if it's got enough supply, it can meet those demands. And it might meet those demands for 2 months. And all of a sudden, by the third month, and you think it's irrelevant what happened 2 months ago, finally the body's, you pressed it too long, too far, whatever. Having a protocol or a system that can pick some of that stuff up. And then to your point, by the way, which was a correction to me, a course correction, which is keep it simple, Wade. How do we do that next? To do that next is first, I love to understand all the stuff behind the scenes, but I don't get to talk about a lot of that because A, it's confusing to a person, patient, and B, even some docs, that the really simple thing is what I'm going to focus on. Yeah, well, yeah, and we want to focus on that. So we want to focus on, all right, so here's what your body's showing me. Boom. These systems come first. Every one of those positive signs doesn't mean they're all problems. Some
Mhm,
are downstream. If we affect the right ones upstream, we
mhm,
can clean a lot of that up.
mhm,
That's cool. There's a sign of hope. It's not going to be rocket science.
mhm,
We're going to be able to focus on these things. You're digesting this pretty well, this not so well, and that one really poorly. And this happens to be, and I'm just generalizing, this happens to be something that's pretty crucial to with your body's
mhm,
ability to rise up to your current chronic stress. And
mhm,
if you can't meet that, no wonder you're getting these other symptoms that go with it.
mhm,
So, hot doc, what do we do about it? Well, here's where we'll start. Let's make food easier and you can focus on these. And then if we knew your blood type, which maybe they do, now I'm going to dial it into that person's ancestral history and their genetic tendencies with how they process and digest nutrients. Instead of just being oblivious and saying, hey, I went through this one time, or I had 10 patients and they did that. And so everyone needs this.
mhm,
I'm not a fan of that because I see us as individuals having an individual experience with different pasts, different genetic blueprints, which are simply expressions. And I want to honor the uniqueness of an individual, not generalize or throw them in a category.
mhm. Yes. Well, and I think something you usually say when I've interviewed you too is like, and I see this about you as well, that you're always taking in mind, like, what does this person want for themselves too, when I'm giving the guidance, right? What do you say? That's the platinum rule. Is that right?
Yeah, the platinum rule, which is do unto others as they want to be done unto.
Right.
Not what I think, what I would like, what they would like. How do they want to be treated? That's what I want to do.
Yes.
Which means, hey, doc, I just want to be patched up and put back on the road. Okay. When you feel patched, you just let me know. We're good. Hey, doc, I want wellness. I want to do this. I'm okay. Well, here's what that looks like. If you really want to go after that, happy to help. At any point in time, you tell me where you got your needs met.
Mm, it's good. I love that. Very honoring, right?
Well, I don't know how else to do it because the truth is, I'm here as a vessel.
Hmm.
That's it. I'm here as a vessel to carry. I love, Lona, what we get to do, which is why I think, your philosophy, how you operate in your community, seeing how contributory you are on all these levels, okay? And it it's fun, but the integrity of doing it for the right reasons, just for doing it for the right reasons.
Hmm.
I mean, what does that do? That's your best referral right there. Is
Right.
someone listened to me to get attention, by the way, today? Holy smokes. Do you notice it when you actually get attention?
Right. Well, we were just talking about even like how we were using the example of if somebody, let's say they just wanted to be patched up and they left. Maybe this isn't the best example, but we were using the example in yoga. Like maybe for whatever reason you fell out of your yoga practice, right? Like if you got an automated text to come back versus somebody saying like, "Hey, we've missed you and we really hope that you come back for a class in the new year," and wrote a handwritten card, like which one are you much more apt to be like, "I was thinking I need to do that anyways, but this really puts it over the edge." It's like because we all want to be seen, right? So,
Yeah, being seen is a big thing in today's day and age because, well, do I need to say that? Everyone's at an all-time high for distraction, and I think that's probably a mechanism that keeps us in confusion, fight or flight,
mhm,
more in a need basis, so to speak. And again, there's more hope than anything. The cool thing is there's so many ways to help people get back on track, and everyone isn't into making a change with nutrition. So I honor the patient that way too by what they're ready for.
mhm,
Like they come in on a referral for a neck or back pain or someone that's had migraines and said, "Hey, you help them. I want, can you help me with the same thing or something similar?" I'm gonna tell them what I see, but I'm not gonna move them a direction that they're not ready to go.
mhm, mhm. It's
It
really,
doesn't mean wishy-washy either. I hold pretty firm on what I see. And
mhm,
if they're expecting one thing and unwilling to do some of the work, I mean, that's also important factors like, okay, so you're still having these symptoms. We've gotten you this far.
mhm,
Here's what I believe next steps are, especially if they're impatient. Like if I pick up on that, like, are you okay with this rate? Oh
mhm,
yeah, doc, I'm super good with this. This is going faster than I'd expected. I'm like, okay,
mhm.
no
Right.
need to change much. But if they are and they're, it's like, how fast do you want to go with this?
Mhm,
And some docs we talk about it when I'm coaching with it is just give them three options. Option A is this, option B is this, and option C is here. You tell me, you think about which one you want, and I'll meet you in the middle.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and
Best case scenario.
think another mentor of mine says, we're making our recommendations based off of what the patient has for goals for themselves, as well as, of course, the findings that we have, so that we can marry them in the middle. But sometimes those expectations of what and what are two very different things, and that's where we have to have a great ability to communicate what it likely will take to get to those goals, and then the person can make the decision.
Can I ask you a question? And
Hmm.
I know I'm going to preface. So you have a feeling, let's say I come in as a patient and I'm a D, direct. I'm direct, and I am impatient on time. And some people look at type A, but in disc style it's D. So I'm going to be direct and short to the punch. Just I want results. Bottom line, don't fluff me around. And I have this expectation for, let's say, a sciatica challenge down into the foot, and I think this is going to be 3, 4 adjustments, maybe a week and a half at most.
Hmm.
And how do you handle that? And or if you say yes to this person and you start taking care of them, who's the pressure on?
Hmm. I think that's where our exam really matters too, and teaching through the exam, right? Where you're showing them, let's say it's somebody who in the past that's what they did and it usually worked, right? Great. I love it that you've generally gotten pain relief within 3 or 4 visits. I want to make sure that I do my job, which is communicate what I'm seeing and also my expertise over the last however many years, so that I give you good recommendations. Then it's on you how you want to proceed with that, right? If you still want to do 3 or 4 visits and that gets you where you want to go, great. That's not usually what our experience is here, but it's your job to make that decision. I just have to lay it out for you so you understand what I'm finding, and then also generally what I would recommend based off of this, knowing that you would like help with your sciatica. It would be nice if it didn't come back anymore, and knowing like this is what is actually showing up in your sacrum or L5 or any, upper cervical, all of it, right? It's just like I think it's then teaching and then trying to not take it personally if the person doesn't want. the thing that you are hoping they want, right?
Right. Well,
Mhm.
I heard a couple things. I heard honor and honor. I heard honoring what they're coming in for, honoring their past, and then honor their current and future by giving them the option and saying yes. But here's where I was really going with that is I mean, of course, it wasn't a passing the test thing. It was more highlighting the fact that if the doc is on stage to make this patient better quicker by whatever response or perception they had in the past of what it is, because things can cumulatively degenerate,
Right?
is that you're honest to yourself, you're honest to him.
Hmm.
And when we're not honest, either way, I've been on the chopping block to go, look, why am I feeling the pressure to turn this around so quick? Whoa,
Right.
whoa, whoa. I
What's
don't even,
playing
I
this
didn't
jargon? Yeah.
exactly how it even slipped in. And that was a big learning lesson to go, all right. So for me, that's why I would agree 100%. Like the examination findings, when I do it, it's huge because I know exactly like how beat up they are.
Hmm.
And that's part of it is what I tell them is I want to know how quick this is going to be to turn around and what your long-term expectations might be.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what's challenging with that, I believe too, is sometimes that example is a good one because that does come up, but also like sometimes when people have lived a certain way for so long, I think one of the things we do often that we have to be watchful of is that we think they're going to get better faster and want more and more for their health than they've ever had a chance to even think about, right? And so we can get so far ahead of them of like, oh, then we'll do this, and then you'll get here, and then they're going to want this. And it's like, that person just wanted to put their shoes on, like they haven't thought about getting back to doing all these other things really, really, like in their mind, did they actually think they would be able to? A lot of times I don't know that people do,
Right.
because they've chopped so many things up to like, oh, it's old age or all my friends are like this or whatever. And so I think that's where we have to have that in our mind, but also offer restraint that if we move too fast, people are like, I haven't even thought about that yet. Like, I just
Yeah.
want to help with the smaller part of it, right? Anyways, wait, we could chat forever. I'm so grateful that you're coming back up again. Thank you for always teaching and sharing and getting us to go deeper in our understanding of it. One of your favorite words too is homeostasis. I know that about you.
Yeah, that's just another name for it. That's a medical terminology for innate intelligence. But
Hmm.
um, if people can reframe it and realize that innate intelligence is the expression of homeostasis, it's already controlling it in many forms. So that's the ECF, and that's what medicine measures all the time as vital signs, but they never talk about muscle contraction. Involuntary muscle contraction is a vital sign of adaptation of the body in the current state. And if someone has involuntary muscle contraction around the kidneys, that should be a question as to are the kidneys triggering by the demand that's being put on them from too much sugar,
Mm.
or is it another problem? And by the way, the chiropractor can be aware of that and watch with a watchful eye, watch how the body responds because it can clean up that mess potentially by itself without adding nutrients.
Mhm.
But if it can't and it's recurrent, now I have a strategy that's going to help that patient on a deeper level and impact the quality of their life in a way that they have never, to your point, not even considered,
Mhm.
but is very forth watching on their timeline and direction they're headed. So anyway, it's fun for me because I'm like the love of it really is and simple as I'm holding up a mirror and I'm saying, "Aren't you cool?" That's all it is. Because
Getting them to see
I
their.
think it's cool. I know what they're capable of, and I want to access the quantum field at every point and say, give me all possibility, not the ones I'm limited to thinking exist.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I think we can end on that one.
All right.
Thanks, Wade. I appreciate you.